fundamental change is taking place in how we think and how we live and how we relate to others. Whether we engage in that change is up to us, but change is happening, and without us, is likely to be far less to our liking. People are insisting that they do not want to return to offices or to public transit or abandon online schooling for their children, while others are chomping at the bit to be back to the workplace with clean divisions between work and personal hours, zipping around on their bikes and the kids back with their friends and not underfoot. Different perspectives on just about everything. Well, it isn't that long ago that we were discussing the impact of religious coverings that hid one's face from others. Now, the discussion is what to do about those who refuse to cover their face with a mask or take 2 shots. Not that long ago, hugs were offered at virtually every meeting. Churches coerced people into handshakes and hugs as their commitment to the sign of peace. And lots of hugs when you went visiting Granny every Sunday at a retirement village. That demonstrated one's love and caring. And then the doors closed, and the distancing enacted. Even touching elbows in greeting vanished because that blew the 6-foot rule. And Zoom and waving through windows reduced us to virtual strangers. But now we're engaged in rebuilding. And to quote a 6th century Chinese proverb, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Mind you, I imagine the Chinese quoted a different measure of distance, and there are many journeys before us that we need to start or continue or dream up. And one of the great problems is that far too many people discount the value of their first step. Let me take the environment for an example. Most of us now recycle our garbage, an idea unheard of not that long ago. But we understand landfills and incineration and endless trucking of garbage from one municipality to another. While I do agree that we need to get after the local authorities who have not done their share, who need to come up with the systems that effectively benefit from all our efforts. But over the years, the move to drop the cans in one container and the paper in another has become automatic. No need to think, no need to question, just done. But for each of us, the change came with the first time we dropped cans together or made a pile for our newspapers and put them out in a different way. We may not have been convinced that doing it would make any difference, but we took a first, tentative step, and the others followed. And the more often we did it, the bigger the bag of cans grew, the more convinced we became that we were doing something right. Our first steps paying off. Now, things didn't change overnight, but they do change, for the better or the worse. On the for the better side, I prefer the change in cigarette use. When was the last time you saw a public figure or a movie star or athlete smoking? Yet when we look back at old movies, everyone was smoking everywhere. Remember the Marlboro Man? Everyone was smoking. It took some time, but there are no longer staff smoking rooms in the local school. Signs warn you to keep your distance if you're smoking anywhere near their doors. Smoking is outlawed just about everywhere except one's own home, or the streets, or in prison. And public scorn and sneers greet those indulging in the devil weed. My pity does lie with those who have smoked forever and just cannot give it up. But my incredulity lies with those who take it up today. How in the world do they afford it? But each person who stopped smoking did it with the decision not to smoke that day, or didn't buy another pack, or wanted the kiss from the guy who wasn't going to kiss an ashtray. One step started the change, and for each one who took that step, society came that much closer to cleaner air, buildings smoke-free, and healthier lungs for so many. Discoveries are made because someone thinks outside the box and takes a step into the unknown. Whether it's a new land or a new drug or a new planet or a new dessert or a new fashion, someone had a dream or a question or an inspiration, and they took a step to committing to finding the answer or creating some new reality. Imagine how much poorer the world would be if Marie Curie had decided radioactivity was no subject for a woman to explore, or if Graham Bell dismissed the possibility of words traveling along a wire, or if Winston Churchill had been content with being an artist. The most worrisome words I hear are, "It doesn't matter what I do. I'm just one person. I can't make a difference." Because they are absolutely right that nothing will change if everyone accepts their stance. If everyone decides they can make no difference and keep on doing what they've always done, nothing will change. Change comes when people commit their actions to changing things, and then they take the first step. We need to have more confidence in the individual, because given the opportunity, people choose to live in a clean and pleasant environment that's safe and healthy. And each of us takes steps each day to look after ourselves to those ends. We do our laundry and mow our lawns and wash our dishes and go to work and to school, and we play in the park. But it's when we pick up the trash in the park, or instruct the child to pick up what he has just thrown down, or organize a cleanup day for the river, that we make a difference. First, we have to notice a problem. Probably the next thing we do is complain about it. Look at that mess. Somebody should do something about it. Where is the city crew? But for some comes the first step to change. We lean down and pick up a piece of trash and walk it to the bin. Maybe we make a game of it with the kids. Whoever gets the most garbage gets to choose pizza or McDonald's for dinner. And then we make a call to 311 to point out that the park needs more bins because they're full and not picked up often enough to prevent people from just leaving the junk on the grass. And with each step, one's commitment to a clean park grows. And others see your actions and either emulate them or at least are shamed into dumping their garbage where it belongs. And they set the example for their children and for others, and the result is a feeling of ownership and pride in the local park. It just isn't the city's park anymore. It's our park, our responsibility, part of our community. And it happens because someone saw a problem and took the first step, which encouraged others to take their own first steps, and the cumulative effect of many first steps and then follow-up steps is a park in which they can take pride and others will enjoy. At one time, New York City had the worst crime stats in the USA. Then in the 1990s, the police department adopted a policy of enforcing against the most minor of crimes, but the ones that upset the average New Yorker. Broken windows, graffiti, vandalism. It was a new approach that met ridicule and hostility initially. But soon the citizens were reporting the vandalism and the minor crimes, and the city was sending out crews to replace broken windows and repairing and replacing the damage done. And the more this happened, the more citizens began to accept the idea and began their own projects to clean up and keep clean the streets on which they walked. And people felt safer to be out walking those streets, and that confidence and presence changed so much. The communities and the police working together for their city, each feeling they were part of the solution as they inched their way forward, step by step. The crime rate dropped from 1991 to 2019, giving New York one of the lowest crime rates of major cities in the U.S. It's hard to take pride in a neighborhood with graffiti and broken windows and littering, but when we take pride in our surroundings, we improve the neighborhood by all the little steps we do to discourage antisocial acts. And then we are all safer and happier, and crime goes down. And it is all in those little steps. When everyone believes what they do doesn't matter, nothing improves. When everybody knows that what they do does make a difference, change for the better happens. Mind you, it can also make changes for the worse if that's the goal of one's first steps. We see that in well-intentioned protests that get hijacked by those who want to vandalize and destroy and gain notoriety. And that discourages others from joining in the cause for change. And those first positive steps can be lost in the noise. But take a moment and look back at all those first steps you've already taken. Sometimes they didn't work and you backtracked, and sometimes you barged ahead, but the steps we take change our lives. I sometimes wonder how my life would have turned out if I had stayed in high school and gone to university as many of my schoolmates did. Would I have become the food technologist I dreamed of being? And would I have invented those 2 tablets to take each day so that time wouldn't be wasted on food prep, eating, and dishwashing? Such a goal. And me, who loves nothing more than sitting long over dinner with good friends, talking and sipping and dining. But then I consider if that was the direction I had traveled, I wouldn't have had my bohemian period that led me to women's rights and politics and my husband and university as a late entry and photography and law and the church, the grandchildren and the children, and so many marvelous things that were the outcome of the steps I took and the path to which I committed myself. Life is about change. Life is about decisions. Life is about daring to try something new, to reach out your hand and put it in the hand of the Lord, to trust and to try. The first step is all important. Some steps don't lead to the 1,000-mile mark, but many first steps become great parades of communities and cities and countries. But if you don't take that first step, nothing happens. Dreams disturbed and lost, or dreams realized. It all depends on having the confidence to dream and do, and take that first step forward. Joining in the dreams and goals of others brings us together as we strive to create a brave new world in which we all share and prosper. So put on your sneakers or your sandals or your high heels and get stepping. I'm looking forward to dancing that way with you. So may it be. Amen. Start dreaming and start doing. The time is upon us to make a difference, to make change for the better, to repair the damage and work toward the country we dream will be greater and finer for each and every one of us. God bless you in all the first steps you will take in this life.
I think that sounded really good.